Go into the world. Mark 16:15. And he said unto them, Go ye into the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Jesus was very clear and straightforward to his disciples on what he wanted them to do. One among many of the most important chapters in the entire Bible was considered Mark 16 because it tells us of the most important event in human history, the final commission to go into the world and preach the gospel, all that Jesus began both to do and to teach. To illustrate the significance, it is a farewell message in the form of a set instruction to all his followers. The seriousness of the matter is that it is not an additional or secondary but primary set of it to be put into purpose with immediate effect. And again, to illustrate the urgency and importance, the Master has related unto the first set of runners, which with the baton carried forward and onward, never to cease or to ever stop until the whole world is covered whole. If you love me, you will obey what I command. John 14:15. Still, we have not come close to completing the mandate. Go therefore and make disciples to all the nation. Matthew 28:19. It is a simple yet complex that when it was commissioned many thousand years ago, and yet more than 1/4 of the world's population are yet to receive an understandable presentation of the gospel for the first time. The dynamic of pandemic state challenged by the topographic structure of the globalization structure, and likewise it is the gospel unmoved or stagnating in some corners of the world owing to the simplicity of the complicity attribute to human absorption about the last instruction of Jesus Christ. This assignment does not have a calendar earmark on the completion date. It does not have a deadline, even though the opposing force would at times and often again come forth with such possibility. But the task on a relay race does not rest with external influence, but merely on the runner running to complete the race with perfection and fine-tuned synchronized timing. Go to the world, cosmos for Greek. This deconstructing and dissecting again for the better calibration of the direction of the instruction give away many paved direction. It is not unfounded the direction of the message could have been different point of view. To many of us acting lay, the view could be an enormous task at hand or simply gigantic that, like Jonah, had decided to drift toward the opposite of the force. And here lies the purpose of the construction, the meaning of the word world, of the instruction. Running backward with a historical preview of the word world, give us case in point, any sphere where you live and have influence. In this age when we are united and digitally either connected, the safety view of a world with an arid and dry inspiration is bleak. The strong desire we would not openly admit to deviate from a straight simple assignment as being Christian or claim to be one such. Manipur, to illustrate a case in point, have three main ethnic groups, Kuki, Meitei and Naga, with other minor groups, which give us three different circles of cosmos. These are mere ethnic groups, but the point here is not to slam that political point home. Taking that three example of the sphere and drawing a bisecting circle of three and applying Venn diagram of gospel, it becomes clear and drawn that the assignment did not move, yet the messenger are not moving. We are all aware today at this cross juncture of virtuality and reality that Christians in other generations are called for the finishing of the Great Commission and that they labored for it, and the realistic opportunity to finish or at least not stagnate the movement when one starts to look at the scripture. God desired to embrace all the earth's ethnic group as worshipper of his glory is clearly seen. The gospel is the same to all nations. There is no change either in the set of instruction that we were handed over because many years have come and gone. Just as we have received, we are to give as much and to as many as we can. John Piper reminds us that worship is both the fuel and the goal of mission. Our aim, Piper says, is to bring the nation of the earth into the world. The white-hot enjoyment of glories, God's glory. Colossians 1:13-17. While it is important for Christians to live like Christ so that one can freely share Christ with everyone through a small and simple way. And again, to put this perspective, one earthen pot has to be filled with water for the thirst of the soul. Querying into the stagnation of the Great Commission, to a lack of fuel, obsession to the right of the might. But as a true soldier of Christ, it is also inevitable to stand our ground first to see if we are indeed rooted to Christ. What if we were rooted but a mere pseudo acting like Christ had it? Just as plants shows to us the sign of life with a strong composition of its root, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. John 15:5. With a microscopic view and the telescopic action, the transmissive gospel would only be relayed further and onward. The Great Commission, or to meekly fly it across, his last instruction will have to be fuel. But in all honesty, a baby boy did not walk out of his mother's womb immediately at birth, but crawling gave way to walking, and walking progressed into an ever-refining art of running. Mere Christians or believers do not become powerful following Jesus, and so the speed of the pace of the gospel does not necessarily have spread like wildfire concocted with strong wind. But this generation can and could foresaw and retrieve the completion course of the Great Commission, which strategy change and a change at microscopic altar is a big question each Christian would have to ask within and deeply, so that we can clearly understand his last instruction. Even if we are not yet obsessed at the moment, to be able to put forth the action of it in front, let us dive deeper within to understand that our collective obsession will ultimately fuel the Great Commission grand success, that only a burning candle can ignite another candle.